Hello everyone, this is Kavya, and in this video I'll share some of the advanced tips and tricks which really help you to become more productive when working with Numpy library. So guys, let's get started. Now, as a first step, what I'll do is I'll just start by importing the library, that is import numpy as np and import time. Okay, let me execute this. Now, the first tip I want to give you is, that is whenever you're trying to add an element to an existing array, please don't iterate over each entry and append the array one by one. Instead, what you can do is you can create an array of required shape and assign the elements to it. So to show you as how, I have actually written the code like this. See, observe here. In the first cell, I have created an empty array, and after that, I have created a for loop which will run for 1 million epochs, and inside each epoch, I am performing some random operation, say e into 5, and after that, I am appending back to the original array. Now, to capture the total execution time, I have actually made use of the time function at the start and at the end of the cell. Okay, so now in this second cell, what I have done is I have actually initialized the array as np.zeros, which has as many elements as that of epochs. So here I have written as np.zeros of len of epochs. And after this initialization, I have actually created the for loop with the use of enumerate on epochs. And inside the for loop, I am actually performing the same operation like before. Understood? But this time, instead of appending, I am actually performing the assignment. And here, even in this cell, I'm actually capturing the execution time so that we can get to know as how much time it takes to complete. So guys, let's execute both the cells. Okay, we now have the results, and as we can see, there is a significant difference between these two approaches. The second cell has performed the operation with just 0.29 seconds when compared to the 5.8, I can say as approximately 6 seconds of first cell. Why? This is because in the second cell, we have already created the array in memory with its full size before the operation, thus saving the time during computation. But the problem in this first cell is, that is the Python program has to make room in the memory. Yes, the Python program has to make room in the memory again and again for each append method. Hence, it is very much time consuming. And guys, what you can do is you can also try to implement this even when you don't know the final array size. What you can do is you can just resize the array in chunks with np.resize method, which would still be faster than the first approach. Okay? Now, moving on, we have got trick number 2. Yes, trick 2. Whenever you are trying to create a fairly large array, please avoid saving in RAM unless until it is required for computation. Else, your RAM memory will become full before you start working on problem. Okay? Guys, this is very much important. That is, when you're working on virtual environment with limited computing resources like Kaggle kernel, AWS, Google Colab and so on, in such cases, it is always suggested to store in disks instead of RAM. So, to show you as what I mean, I have actually created 2 cells like this. Okay, so for the first cell, I am simply creating a numpy array with the shape of 600, 600, 600, 6. And after that, I am assigning a value to one of the index as 100. In the second cell, I am actually making use of hypy package for storing the data of same shape. And by using this package, that is hypy package, I can still manipulate as if they were the real numpy arrays, but getting the advantage of saving in disk instead of RAM. So guys, now before I execute this code, please observe the RAM usage of my kernel. See, observe here, the RAM usage of my kernel, it is like just close to 1 GB, correct? Now what I'll do is, I'll just execute this first cell and then let's observe the RAM usage. Let me execute this. Now, if I hover my pointer over the system usage, it says the RAM usage is more than 10 GB. Yes, it is more than 10 GB. So guys, just by creating a single array, my whole 10 GB of RAM is utilized for storing it. Correct? Now, let's see what happens when I run this second cell. Now, what I'll do is I'll just restart the runtime to reset the memory usage. Since I'm on Google Colab, what I'll do is I'll just go to runtime and then here I'll select this restart runtime. Okay, so this has been completed. Now, before I execute the second cell, let's check the system status again. Yes, it is less than a GB of RAM and a disk use of around, what is the disk use? Let me see it again. It is around 30 GB. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just execute the second cell. Okay, as you can see, there is no usage of RAM because of the execution. So guys, if you ever face issues in memory usage in your projects, it's worthwhile to look at this H5Py package. Yes, H5Py package. Remember this. Okay. Now, the third tip I want to share is, please don't access the arrays more than necessary. Yes, don't access the arrays more than necessary. Guys, I agree that even though the Numpy is fast in accessing the elements from an array, it will become more expensive when we are accessing a lot more than required. Hence, it is always suggested to access the required element before the loop to improve the execution time. So now to show you the same, I have written the code like this. Fine. So here, let me explain it one by one, and if you observe this first cell, here I'm actually accessing an element from an array each time when it runs the loop. And in this second cell, I have actually assigned the value to new variable, which I will use it inside the for loop. So I'll now execute both the cells over here. Okay, as we can see in the output, if you observe the second cell is almost 4 times faster than this first cell. Got it? Moving on, the next trick we have got is, that is returning the index location of an element which actually satisfies a particular condition. Now for that, we make use of the function that is np.where. What is it? It is np.where. And guys, we already know as how to return an element with the use of Boolean indexing. But sometimes we will be required to return the index positions of the items to perform some other operation. Okay, now to show you as how to make use of np.where function, what I'll do is I'll just create an array like this. That is, as you can see on the screen, that is arrx, that is array x is equal to np.array, and I have given some values 66355032251 and many more. Okay, now if I want to return the index positions of the Numpy array which are greater than 3, then what I'll do is I'll make use of the function np.where and specify the condition inside the parenthesis. Okay, so if you can see here, it is like new index is equal to np.where of array x is greater than 3, and I have written a print function over here, that is the index of arrays where value is greater than 3 is comma new index. Okay, so guys, this has written the index positions of the elements which are greater than 3. Now, using these index positions, we can actually extract the elements from the array, that is by using np.take method. What is it? np.take method. So here I have written as arrayx.take of new index, and let me execute this. So this has returned the elements of the specified index. Now, this np.where function will actually accept 2 more optional parameters. They are x and y. So when a particular condition is true, then the value x is written, else y will be written. It is as simple as that. Now to show you as how it works, here I have written something like this. See, np.where of array x is greater than 3, greater than 3, less than 3. Okay, so I'll execute this code. Yeah. As we can observe in the output, we have the resulting array with the values just like we specified, and the values which are greater than 3 has been set as greater than 3, else it has set as less than 3. Okay. Another common function in Numpy which we use that is based on index values is np.argmax function. Yes, we use this np.argmax function to return the index position of maximum value in a Numpy array. And sometimes we use this function when we are implementing a machine learning algorithm with softmax activation function. Now, to show you as how we return the index position of maximum value in a Numpy array, I have written something like this. See, print of index of max value, that is np.argmax of array x, and in the same way we can also return the index position of minimum value of an array by writing something like this. See, print of index of min value, wherein I have given as np.argmin of array x. So guys, let me execute these cells. See, we got the output, that is index of maximum value is 0 and index of min value is 5. Okay. Now, the final trick I want to show you is that is how to add a new access to a Numpy array. Yes, you heard me right. That is adding a new access to a Numpy array. For that, we make use of a method that is np.newAccess. What is it? It is np.newAccess. Now, using this function, we can add a new blank access to increase the dimension of an array. Now, to show you this, I have actually created a single dimension array over here. See, that is x is equal to np.a range of 10, and then I have written the print statements. Okay, so if I execute this, see, this has created a single dimensional array with the shape of 10. Now, this time what I'll do is I'll just add 2 new dimensions along the column axis to convert into a 3-dimensional array. So I have written something like x column is equal to x of colon comma np.newAccess comma np.newAccess, and then I have written the print statement over here. So let me execute this also. Okay, as we can see in the output, the new shape of the array is 10, 1, 1. Correct? So guys, this function would be very useful when we are implementing any of the deep neural networks from scratch with our custom data. Okay, now in the same way, we can add a new axis along any required dimension. So here I have written something like this, that is x row is equal to x of np.newAccess comma np.newAccess comma colon, and then I have written 2 print statements over here, and let me execute this code cell. So this has added a new axis along the first 2 dimensions. Understood? So guys, these were some of the advanced tips and tricks which I wanted to share with you. So if you have any other advanced tricks which you want to share with everyone, do post it in the comment section so that other people may find it useful. As always, you can find the source code by checking the links in description. And guys, I look forward to see you in the next tutorial. Please do like, share and subscribe for more videos like this. See ya, bye bye and take care.